Yep. Okay. This is super safe what we're doing.
I'm on the turnpike, buddy. I'm on cruise control. We're good. I'll be on this road for 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. This is we should be we are live, yeah. Uh hey, good to see you. I'll see you in less than a week.
Yes,
But
sir. Can't wait. Can't wait.
how you feeling? How you feeling?
Good. 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 I'm healthy. Just still trying to gain the last couple of pounds, but all is good. All is good.
So you struggle to go what how much is it in pounds? 140?
It's like
240.
132, 132,
230.
or 232. I mean,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. 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 So it shouldn't be a problem.
Close. Close. About 228. Waking up around there, so that's good. And it leaves me in range to go back to 95, which is what I want.
Hmm. Okay. So the plan is not to stay at this weight.
No, no. I think this is just kind of an opportunity to pull up in a class against a guy that we had a match set in the past. They fell through, so it's kind of a little long overdue, right? So, and plus, I think it's very interesting stylistically, and I got a lot of respect for Lockman. I like the way he pulls. I like the energy he brings. So, no way I can turn that man down.
Yeah, I think I guarantee you there's so many people confusing Paul for Lachlan and Lachlan for Paul. I guarantee.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, it's interesting. I've spoken on a bunch of podcasts about the matchup and stuff. There's so many variables at play. Bachman coming down to the walk around 232. Like, does that have a positive and negative impact? Me coming into like the first time I've ever competed overseas and not had to cut weight and actually be able to eat on the plane and act like a normal person. So I don't know what that feels like yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
That will be, I think, a lot of different new experiences. Like first time in Dubai. You haven't been to Dubai, right? Okay.
Okay.
Have you the first time to Dubai, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. First time.
Yeah. And first time on King of the
It's a
Table.
direct flight out of Washington D.C. Yep, yep.
So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, like where does this match ranks in your mind with all the other matches? Because this has been like on everyone's mind for last 3 4 years or even more, right? It's kind of been there like we kind of want to see this, but where does
Yeah.
it rank for you?
Like for me compared to like other opponents,
Yes.
I mean, I think number one, getting to pull that king of the table is something I definitely wanted to do. I wanted to come to Dubai. I wanted to be on that stage, experience that promotion, and then to have it against an opponent that, again, like I said, I respect the guy so much, and I like his style, and I think the match itself could wind up being really, really interesting. And whether I win or lose, I just want to make it interesting, make it a war, and have a good time with it. So, for me, um, I know they're 95, being in 95, I'm so used to people saying, oh, you're pulling little guys or guys that are smaller than you. So now it's an opportunity that makes this match a little bit special too, where I'm going to be probably the smaller human being. And, I've done that stateside plenty, but not on the international stage. So I think it's a special match for me for a lot of those reasons. Now, as far as how the general public sees it, I don't know. I think a lot of people see it as a close match and something could be entertaining. I think we bring a similar energy when we're on our game. So hopefully it pans out. Hopefully we can make a match of the night.
Like this is very exciting match because I see a lot of similarities in both of you, and I see a lot of the same strengths, especially in the inside of the arm wrestling, right in a hook or just going on inside. And it should look different than your last match because I don't think Lachlan can do half of what Irakli does, right, with his top roll.
Yeah.
But was that still concern? Were you still trying to like, okay, maybe he will try to surprise me, or you focus more your training on making your strength stronger?
Well, I think like when I looked at this match, like coming off the loss to Brackley, the focal point had to be finger containment and wrist flexion, just for general development. You know, I added a couple pieces and tweaked a few things to prepare for Lachlan specifically, but inherently after losing to Iraqi and not having the ability to contain him, that showed that that's an area that I have to focus on regardless of my opponent. So basically, from here on out, that's going to be a heavy focus no matter who my opponent is. I do see Lachlan. I think his back pressure is immense. Like that sheer hammer curl back pressure through the lat bicep, and I think his biceps incredible. So I think I don't know if he tries. I hope he doesn't try a top roll. Let's skip all that. You know what I mean? Maybe round two or something. You know.
You see yourself as an underdog in this one?
Yeah, sorry. I had a call come in. Say it again. Sorry.
You see yourself as an underdog in this one because you're coming from lighter weight category and he's been pulling
Yeah,
this weight already.
I do, and I do for several reasons. Like if you were to make like a pro and con list and put check marks on either side, whatever. Like he's got me in a couple areas. Overall, general mass, right? He's got me in age, you know. So being that we started at a similar time, it would be easy to assume that his trajectory based on age um, may be better than mine. So I think there are certain things, you know, about this match that I can look at and classify myself as the underdog, which to me is where I really want to be. I think I flourish there when I feel like I'm chasing, and you know, rather than having somebody chase me, I feel better as the one chasing. So that's definitely how I see the match, and it's for a lot of reasons, and mainly it's a guy. The guy had put together a very impressive resume. Um, Regardless, I don't know what the general public thinks, but he has beaten some very legitimate guys. He is also arm wrestled very well with some tremendous guys, and he seems to be getting better, and he seems to be healthier at this lighter weight. So I tend to believe a guy who is a professional lockman, when he cuts weight, he improves his body composition. He doesn't lose much. So I don't expect anything but the strongest fundamental version of him. So I see myself as a slight underdog for sure, and that's where I want to be. And a good part of preparation for this match is Lachlan posts like everything he does, you know, which most of the European guys, the Eastern European guys, are living quiet. So I'm training in the quiet, just me versus me type stuff. But when there's all that stuff out there, it's easy to do an extra exercise or an extra set or a couple extra reps when you normally would have tapped out. So I think that's been beneficial to me, and I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah, it's yeah, everyone has the different approaches, right? Someone will stay, like you said, like like training in silent. And Lachlan posts, he shows, and you kind of get a glimpse of his power, right? Especially in some positions, which
Yep.
like I really believe Lachlan is somewhere very high. He sometimes lacks technicality, right? But he's getting there, and it's sometimes a problem being really strong. And he is really strong, and I think in my mind I see like going through scenarios how this match goes. I see it a war. I see a lot of success for you turning him palm up, but because he sometimes goes there, but I see struggling to fin like. I think it's a great match. I really think it's a great
Yeah.
match, and the possibilities where it can go a lot.
Well,
Like
he's
the whole
he's
card.
got an he's got an incredible bicep.
Yes.
Like not only does it look incredible, but it performs incredibly in really, really stretched, like exposed positions. He seems to have a level of comfort, about a centimeter above the pin line, um, which is, to me, that's one of the scariest things. Like getting stopped down there, um, and not having an adjustment, you know. But we'll see. I have been working quite a bit on that finishing strength and that down pressure to finish. So I think, hopefully, again, if it turns out to be a war, I think it could be one of those matches where it comes down to who doesn't make, who's patient, who doesn't make mistakes, the little mistakes that most people don't see.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, I really like this. I like this card. The card is very uh what makes a great card is mystique and intrigue. And for me, like looking at these matches, it's kind of like I think Lachlan is a favorite because he's at this weight, he's been doing it at this weight, and you're coming up to the weight, right? So he has advantage there, and I think he's really strong and, like you said, hard to finish, right? That's the scary part. But I think you possess so many different threats, and you flourish as an underdog. And I expect it to be very, very exciting match. The whole card is really great because of these
Yeah.
kind of matches. These kind of matches. Um, I want to get your thoughts. So we have Ryan Bowen coming back, right?
Yeah.
He will face Schoolboy. I'm reading comments, and the comments are pretty much Schoolboy is so weak. There's like he cannot do anything. Like there's no chance. Why would we even make the like the comments are going crazy? And I'm thinking the guy just lost to Leonidas, and I think people are taking away credit from Leonidas, saying that
Yeah.
I that was like you saw, that was the biggest, strongest Schoolboy we have ever seen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like
No, like guys, anybody who's confused on this, I saw the guy in the airport when I landed, and I did a double, triple take to ensure that this was the same guy that I knew back in the United States, same guy that stayed over at my house and came to my tournament practice. You know what I mean? Like, who are you? You ate your old version, the old version of you. Like, he looked like a different human being. Like, there is zero chance that that guy wasn't at his best form, unless there was some secret injury that nobody told us about. The reality of that is that's proof that a guy like Leonidas coming in with special strengths and talent, just like Larry Wheels and a lot of these other guys from the strength world, when they commit to arm wrestling, their gains are going to be exponential. That match proved to me not that Schoolboy doesn't have credibility, but then Leonidas deserves very high credibility. And now we're going to see Leonidas versus John Brzenk, and people are saying the same stuff. He's going to get killed. He ain't in the match. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't think he might not win, but I don't think he's getting killed.
I don't think so too. I think he's going to be in that match for sure. And
Yeah.
what an amazing match to have, right? What amazing match to have. Like, you had an opportunity to pull with John, right? It's one of the honors in arm wrestling world, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, like when I look at the Ryan Bowen match, and you give me your thoughts, in Ray. I think Schoolboy comes in as a decent favorite, and I think as the match goes on, when we get into the later rounds, whether Schoolboy remains the favorite could change kind of in the blink of an eye. Ryan has really put it out there that he intends on open top rolling or King's moving or whatever you want to call it. So a lot of that's going to come down to, if Ryan can get Alex's hand back a little bit. If his hand and wrist start to go, then I think Ryan, the minute that happens, Ryan starts to become the favorite in the match. And you were talking about a 7-round match too, so he's got 4 rounds to get that purchase. I see the match. I think Schoolboy wins the first 2 rounds fairly easily, and then that's where it gets weird, if it's going to get
Yeah,
weird.
I kind of see it too. I think this, like, people are underestimating the strength gap. I think the strength gap is going to be tremendous there. I think it's going to be like Ryan put it out, like he knows he's not delusional. He knows that maybe the only option here is for going for full kings, right? The
Yeah,
only option here is to make him tired, make him sticky. I just don't know if he has enough power. Like the times that like Schoolboy lost to Khaled's back pressure is crazy. Like
yeah.
if anyone thinks that like Ryan Bowen would beat in Thresh Khaled, I think you guys are crazy. I think it's
No,
like
just that's ridiculous.
that's
That's
that is
ridiculous.
absolutely ridiculous because the guy he was still in the match after like a war where he was supposed to lose and he won, right? And it was a crazy match and then continues. Um,
Yeah,
but
people there. That is doing like that match itself right there. When we go back to that, created so much weird confusion because you got a lot of people that completely discredited Ryan for even doing it, and then you have the other side that actually gave him credit without understanding what pulling even one round will do to you with
yes,
somebody who's close to you. If I
yes,
go to practice and Todd Hutchings and I pull 2 or 3 times,
yeah,
we are going to lose to most of the people the rest of the
yeah.
practice. The can top roll, especially, you know. So it's when you get into that red line position, you are not recovering unless you're Devin. You're not recovering in an hour or 2 hours.
No, it's the like exchange of power when it's close. It's crazy. This is why like a lot of times you will see competition and two favorites meet, then it's open game. Then everyone
Yep.
can fight. And if it's a lot, you're like, and then
If,
whoever was the closest one is the winner. We already know, right? We already
yeah.
know that's how it is. Especially in armor because you lose a lot of strength. But I think like Ryan is dangerous. If
Yeah.
someone thinks that Ryan is not dangerous, like all he's thinking, like this is big opportunity. First of all, this is big moment, and this has been the match he wanted, and he like people have been talking about for years, right? And he
Yep.
has this moment. Ryan will not waste this moment. He will do everything possible to try to win it. Like and
Yeah.
if he loses, he'll be humble in defeat and he'll be humble in the victory. But up until then, it's gonna get as dirty as possible, as dirty as the referees allow it. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, man. And I think those intangibles are the things that could make this match really, really good. I mean, people are so quick to discredit Ryan, because of a lot of the delusional things that he has intentionally said,
Yeah.
throughout time. But
Yes.
the reality is, he just pulled Ron back at Arm God, and that match there was not a big gap in that match. Like Ryan, I thought was in that match. He gave Ron trouble, and Ron, regardless of his age and where he's at right now, to me, I was expecting the match to be a little bit more one-sided. I was impressed by Ryan. I think he's taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's I think this is like there's sometimes there's fun matches, right? And then there's matches like this for me this is fun match because Ryan is out of his weight class facing a bigger guy, but there's other things on the line at this one. Um, you're in a different boat, but you have one match that's very in the same weight class, 105, right? We have Petrenko and Kidigali.
Yeah.
Yeah, like listen, I'm gonna give you something. So I think a lot of people, like I really think a lot of people drink Kidigali's Kool-Aid, and he got this incredible amount of fanatics, like he's
Yeah.
the right. And then they kind of discredit Petrenko, who's an absolute beast. Like you have to arm wrestling mat doesn't work, and you have to look at each match individually. I think Petrenko is like it could be so far from being close in my mind because Petrenko will just eat everything that Kirigali does. Kirigali
You
needs to.
wow. You really think you have Petrenko as a favorite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have
Uh,
guessed that. I
so
think Kiddergali I think a lot of Western like fans that are now following international arm wrestling. We've seen Agarbayev do some amazing things. And when you see him beat John, who was our, hometown, we all love him,
Yeah.
And in the fashion that he has won the matches that he won against, Iraqi and stuff, some of those beautiful transitions, the way he pulled Michael Todd, people look at that, and those are our hometown guys. So I think he has developed an incredible Western following. And I'm like, I'll raise my hand. I'm one of those guys. I think he's tremendous. And he's one of those guys that I have a hard time betting against. I didn't think Hutchings was going to beat him. I was hoping he would, but I didn't think he was going to. So do you see it going something like that, or do you think that Petrenko is fundamentally sound enough to be able to contain him, or is he going to have to pull him in some unorthodox way?
So Petrenko is, I think, physically much bigger. He doesn't care if he loses wrist, and he's doing much better with keeping his wrist in previous matches. I see a lot of similarities with Todd Hutchings' match. For him, I think if Kidrigali beats Petrenko, he knows he has a better chance this time versus Todd Hutchings because of the similarities. Like Petrenko will just go sideways. He will just go sideways.
Yeah.
He has a lot more. His back pressure is really, really crazy. I don't think we saw, like, when he kind of came back, you have to understand, like, he's in the war zone, right? He's living in a war zone. So when we saw him coming back, I don't think we saw the best of him, right? Like, he lost to John, but when he goes, he loses his hand, and we know John's back pressure is good enough that if he has your hand, he will keep the match. And he was kind of stuck and couldn't get out, right? Then he beat Zurab, lost on the left to Aljan, doesn't matter. Chance 3-1, and then beat Marcio Barboza 3-0.
Yeah.
Like, Marcio tried everything. He couldn't even put his elbow on the pad. Like, literally, that's how it was. I see him as a heavy favorite in my eyes.
Right.
And I think for Kidrigali, he has a lot to prove now, and he will do it. I think Kidrigali is great arm wrestler. Like, don't just from the past, because I don't think we saw best of Petrenko. When Petrenko was on the top of his game, 2019, I was there. I saw the destruction that he was doing. It was incredible. At 95 kilos, like, it was unbelievable how dominantly strong he was, right? So I drink a lot of that Kool-Aid. I'm waiting for that, but I really like the match. I really like the match because factors, because I don't think Kidrigali will be strong enough from the go, but he could be longer rounds.
Right. I love Holding. I've gotten to hang out with him and chat with him back and forth online, man. He's a sweet guy. I'll gladly be rooting for him. I hope you're right. I like your assessment too, because a lot of that stuff you're talking about, like 2019, I wasn't really aware of. Wasn't following internationally at that time.
Yeah. It was like that was, and he was supposed to be like the 95. There was supposed to be 95 top 8. His first pull was John, but of course, like COVID and everything, it just killed it and didn't happen, right? Then we saw that match versus John. Like, I don't know, like, stylistically, like, again, you have to look at each match stylistically, right? It wasn't a good match for him, but then you can put Marcio Barboza versus some of these guys, and he will have an absolute epic war versus them, right? It all very much comes down to the style of arm wrestler you're facing.
Man, that's so much of it, man. And like you said, the arm wrestling math just doesn't work most of the time. It comes to the style and whenever it matters.
Yeah. Well, then we have to, like, literally for your match and versus Lachlan, we just look at Irakli's match, because both of you pulled them, and we see who did better. And that's pretty much who will be the winner. And it doesn't work. It's right. But you kind of both did the same. Irakli's top roll is just too much. His back pressure is too much. You can't keep your hand, and you can't keep the rotator, and that's pretty much how it is. But then you look
it's the big thing is not keeping a rotator. The big thing is losing your rotator, which is why I think, if we see the Hutchings rematch, I think it's going to be more competitive. I think he has taken hanging advice, and he's focused a little bit more on that feeding of the pro nation. Because even when I was voluntarily giving my wrist up, focusing only on pro nation, he turned
Yeah.
it. And it's hard to turn somebody's pronator when their wrist is back. Because you have not very little to bite on.
Yeah. But like I really think you and Lachlan are really like, if the match that I could look at is you versus Sasha and him versus Krasimir, because I know Sasha and Krasi are very close, right?
Yep.
And it is a weight difference there, definitely, right? So I'm looking at that match, and I this match will be close, you know.
Yeah, it should be.
You know how I go out to all my super matches, and in my mind, like the only thing, like a lot of people ask, like, what do you think about, right? I'm thinking like, am I ready to survive the war, right? Because if
Yeah.
this turns into a one, because there's points where your arms will just like you will get so exhausted that you know there's no power there, and you're thinking I should give up, right? And it's first thought because it just got hard, and I always like I remember versus Tom Holland, I was there, and Ryan comes up to me. He's like, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "I'm just preparing for hell. I'm just preparing
Yeah.
for." I said, "I guarantee you this will be a hell." Like, if you put that mind, like you're ready to go there, it's not a problem, right? It doesn't
Right.
matter you lose 1-2, and then you can kind of get it rolling. But if you're in your mind, you're like, "I'm here to win," and then you boom, boom, you're done. There's no
Yeah.
coming back. There's no coming back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hutchings has said to me before, sometimes the best strategy is just go out there and try not to lose. Hang on and try not to lose. Like, just make it as long as you can make it and just try not to lose until you win. And I thought it was a strange way of looking at things, but if you really like decompose it and think about it from a different perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because like you know you're a coach, right? So you know there's a lot of moments in a game where everything is going great, and then there's a breaking point, and everything kind of it kind of like it's magically just goes to shit. You're like, how is now
Yeah.
you know we're not getting passes, not like everything is going just terribly, right? And then you kind of need to break it again. So sometimes in
Yep.
your mind, when you think you're like no one can beat me. I'm a king. Like no one can be. And then you lose in your mind. You just lost everything,
Yep.
and somehow you're giving up. So I think it's like you said. It's better to be a little bit of underdog, right? And Todd
Yep.
Hutchings, like it's better. Just try not to lose. Just try not
Yeah.
to. Right.
It's interesting because like normally people would say never take that mentality. Don't like fear losing. Don't come in like trying to avoid losses or avoid mistakes. Go out there with the intention to win. But like when you look at it from the perspective of when the match stops, what do? Just try not to lose. Hang on. So it makes sense from that perspective. What you're talking about is very similar to what we refer to as momentum in football, basketball. These are types of sports where momentum shifts a lot of time decide games. So mid competition, like you said, you're rolling, man. You can't every play you're calling is butter, and then all of a sudden something bad happens, like a punt gets blocked. Biggest momentum play in football. Now all of a sudden you're on your heels until you find a way to manufacture a momentum swing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to do it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be in your mind. It could be a real thing, right? It could be, sometimes like some things will break the like an arm wrestling match. I'll see a lot of times when you go and the setups are really quick and guys pull one, loses again. And then the guy's like, I will try my best to fight as long as I can. And he
Yep.
breaks because he's fighting so long that the other guy is overwhelmed, right? So I look at me winning and me losing as the same thing. Just keep
Yeah.
focused on what's at the end. Don't be focused at what at the moment. That's yeah.
Right. It's an interesting way of looking at it too, especially using setups and things like that as an opportunity to swing momentum. It's just like timeouts in basketball.
Yeah.
Team goes on a hot streak, call a timeout.
Yeah.
Pull them down. So yeah, there's a lot of little things that I think that's the beauty of arm wrestling. I think a lot of people just see it at face value and they miss the fine details that are going on in the pre-match setup, in the pre-match build-up, in the mid-match adjustments. mid-match adjustments are a little bit easier to see, but still hard to see. But the stuff that goes on in the setup is monumental, especially when you're talking about the guys at the highest level like that.
The guys that that know how to manipulate things, right? That's the one. Like when we play the games, they played the game with the cards on the last East versus West. That was cheating
Yeah.
goal. So funny. Like he instantly figured a way to cheat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, I guess. Is that what they say?
Yeah. So, like, listen, of course, ultimately your goal is to, are you still, yeah, you're still there. Ultimately, your goal is to make it back to title shot, right?
Yes, yes. I'm in no major rush. You know, I'm enjoying the process and everything. You know, there's plenty in my game that I need to improve on, and I don't want like the idea of winning a title is not like you don't want to get there and then lose it the minute you defend it. You know, you want to get yourself there at a point where you feel like you can defend it and you're deserving of it. Nobody wants to be like Mindy. Nobody wants to be like Mindy.
No, that sucked. That sucked so bad.
I only threw that in there because you know it jabbing me right before that thing.
Yeah, I think for you, this is different, but I think what you need is a good top roller, maybe someone not as good as Irakli, but someone close. So you know, like, did I improve, right? Because these will be the same things I'm gonna face if Irakli is still the champ, right? Because eventually you kind of need to build your arsenal against different kinds of opponents. And a lot of these guys you kind of been facing were more inside dominant, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and like
or relatively manageable when it comes to containment.
yeah,
You know, and I've found too that there's a certain style of top roll. There's certain top rollers give me problems. Like depending on which angles they take, how they set up. There's a few things that in the setup and you know combination of angles that will give me problems. And I'm coming to learn that a little bit more. I have a Georgian training partner in Maryland who is my barometer on that. And his top roll is as pristine and clean and fluid as anybody. The irony is, like, I might be able to pull with Brandon Elsesser, who is also a top roller, and I feel very comfortable with him. Yet my Georgian buddy will lose to him every time in a tournament. But when I go to hook him, it's a task. So it's either getting to a point where I can effectively hook 90% of all top level top rollers, or developing my top roller match.
yeah.
And I've gotten because of the opponents that I've had, I've gotten kind of away from heavy back pressure pronation top roll style training. You know, I spend so much time working on containment. I train all that stuff in the gym, but like the practice time and the effort and drilling has been focused in different areas. And that's the tricky part about preparing for different opponents, not letting other fundamentals fade away.
Yeah, I agree. It's if you have a good training, like I think a lot of things that I have developed, like my strengths, is because of my training partners, because of the way they're pulling, right? Because eventually you just have to kind of deal with them. And then there's things like with everyone, right? If all your pullers are, let's say, inside pullers, your hand will most likely will not get tested, and then someone can just take it, and you'll be like, why don't I get this? Because they're going different directions, right? But if everyone is a top roller, the problem might be someone goes inside, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect this, right? I if I get this, it's no, right? So our training partners makes us. That's how it is.
100%.
Yeah.
You're only as good as the company you keep.
Yeah.
That goes for a lot of things.
Like, is the scene in USA like going crazy? Like, is it growing like fungi? Like,
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say that we have had a very steady growth, you know, over the past couple of years. I I think since COVID and everything, I
Mhm.
think we've had a very steady trickling growth. I don't think it's exploded. Now I think viewership of the sport, like I think the growth of true fans who are not actually interested in competition is more exponential than the actual newer arm wrestlers, which is a good thing.
Which is a good
Um,
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's really what I mean. For how long has it been? We're trying to sell pay per views to other arm wrestlers, and there's only so many of them out there. Now that we're actually getting people who are just fans of the sport itself, and I think a lot of that has to do with the character development that's happening over time. People are starting to pick their guys, who they like and who they root for, and I think that's something that WAL was starting to work on, but they never really got to finish the job before COVID.
Yeah. It's like I think it's crazy. Like I'm looking back because I had the privilege to being part of almost everything. So I see the huge growth it's been taking in 10 years. My first world championship I went to, I think as an official from Latvia was 2013, so 11 years
Wow.
I have seen, and then I think Slotties and everything. But what we have seen with East versus West, like especially the last one, was
Mm-hmm.
just an absolutely insane, right? The
Yep.
I can't like everyone asked me how was it? I said I can't tell you. You have to feel it. Like the
No, yeah,
moment.
when you go watch that pay per view, you are not getting that in the room energy, which is why, like, I've told as many people as I can coming back here when we have this August card. If you can get to Florida, the flights are cheap. You want to be there just for that. There's plenty of other right reasons to want to be there, but you need to experience that energy because there is nothing like it, and you cannot see it from that camera. You cannot see the crowd. You
No,
cannot see the reactions. You can't really hear them.
you
You
don't
know?
feel it. Like I remember when I go on the stage with Mike, right, and he's super emotional. And like I just kind of moved it. It was like we're not gonna ask him anything. I see like this meant the world to him, and then the
Mm-hmm.
whole crowd is going It was
Yeah.
just like I teared up. I was like,
Yeah. Are you
right,
kidding me? Yeah, it was like the whole weekend was filled with like from the gate, from everything. With there were so many emotional aspects to that, and then you got the crazy wars. You got the Samusha war. I lost my voice for 2 weeks after that match.
yeah,
You can't see or hear none of that.
yeah,
I was losing my mind. I had a pounding headache afterwards. I was screaming so much.
yeah.
Those are things that
Yeah. David is
that
something.
in person feel is like nothing. What's that?
I said, yeah, yeah. I agree that if you have a chance of watching this, you have a chance to go to East versus West, King of the Table, come watch, or any big like there's gonna be big Challenger Series in USA. Go watch it. Or it's in Florida, and then we're gonna go back to East versus West. What is it? 14 is gonna be right there in August. What is it? 15, 10? I don't even remember all the dates, but yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and I think the expansion is going nuts. I'm very happy. I'm very lucky. Like I was in European Championship, right? And everyone knows, and everyone goes to England, and everyone talks with me in England, and they're like, How can we get?" I'm like, "Do good here, and most likely you will end up there, right? You just there's so much great pullers, and there's so much great arm wrestling to show it. Like you said, we need more fans of some arm wrestlers because then they kind of will keep on watching and things like that. Like I wanted to ask you, so because I really miss pulling, so I cannot just pull super match. Like I had this one year when I pulled 16 super matches, and then
I
I
remember.
needed to do a suicide afterwards, right? But uh,
Yeah,
but do you miss pulling tournaments?
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you were talking about the concept of that one war changing the whole playing field of the tournament, I was just kind of reminiscing on tournaments that I sat back in the bracket and watched that happen. to me, that type of stuff is the most awesome thing about tournaments, but also the shittiest thing because the best guy doesn't always win. But everybody has a chance based on how that bracket pans out and how you show up that day. I like that aspect too, stylistically for myself, because I can add a level of strategy to it as far as how I choose people. With just a little bit of versatility and the ability. I had done well in the tournament setting in the past, even knowing when it's okay to go to the B side. So I miss those aspects, and I miss just that you're going to arm wrestle 10 times. It might be over the course of however much time it takes to get to the class. Then you have to wait for when they run the finals. Maybe it's the next day, whatever it is. I kind of like that ongoing stress, and then having the opportunity to pull both arms too. So yeah, I miss it, but it's not viewer friendly. Let's be serious. My wife went to like 2 tournaments and said, I will never go watch this again unless there's a casino involved.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to get to the next. Like I was after like Europeans was kind of unclimatic for me. I missed the last goal, and it was just like I was
Yeah.
really disappointed. So I was looking at competitions I can pull before, but there's no competitions around that I can pull this week. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna save myself and see what I can do because I just I like facing different opponents.
Yeah.
It's I think a lot of people are now focusing so much on super matches, and I think it's great for athletes, that you if you get to that level, that's awesome. Like if someone would like if Engen would give me or whatever core sports give me a contract and say you pull this how many matches you set and you're good, I'll be happy, but I would really miss it. I would really want to pull like
Yeah.
the tournaments as I can.
Well, I always think about that when you have the really bright, shining up and coming stars, right? And I kind of was thinking about that with Rykard Foreman from Australia, who's gotten a lot of recent hype for what he did in that round robin, which was super impressive. And then him practicing with Ryan and Lachlan, he showed his level. But the guy's only been arm wrestling for like 1 or 2 years. And like, to me, I feel like he's going to get thrust into the spotlight, which is a great thing. But then it also is potentially a thing where he's going to maybe get cheated out of his golden years of arm wrestling. Because my first 2-3 years was the most fun I had.
Yes.
There was no real pressure. It was all a climb. All I'm doing is going there and trying to take 1 or 2 names, or win this tournament that I really wanted to win, or prove to myself I can cut weight, compete at nationals, whatever. The goals were less pressure driven, and they were more incremental. Like there were steps. But once you get onto that super match stage, it feels like, how do you go back? How do you go back? And maybe it's not going backwards, but I think a lot of people perceive it that way.
I think it's like I really think when you get to that stage and you can sustain it, right? Then it's what's better. But like the new guys, like everyone now is asking for Superman. Everyone wants to pull a
Oh, I
Superman
know.
when you don't know how to pull at all, right?
Oh, I know.
And I think you will never get as much experience as pulling a tournament, right? And
Yeah.
especially like let's say you start as a novice and there is a novice class, so everyone is in the same level. But if you just get thrown with a wall for some pros, like we have 3 stages in Latvia: we have novice, we have amateurs, and we have pros. There's usually 1 or 2 guys every 2-3 years that can actually go in a year from novice, next year amateurs, and then pros. We have some amateurs that have been sitting there for years because you can go to pros, but you will not get top 2, right? You can be midfield or something. So sometimes it's very, very frustrating, and everyone comes in differently. And we need more tournaments. Like I'm thinking, if there would be a big tournament like they did in Zlotitour, but like more money, more classes, I think that would be one of the greatest tournaments we have seen in a long time, like professional tournament. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like that first iteration of WAL. I think they gave
Yes.
out 20
Yes.
grand to first place, and they paid all
Yes.
the way down to 8. And the key is paying down to 8, because there's a lot of dang good pullers that are going to say, I don't think I can take first or second. But I'll be damned if I can't take seventh or eighth, you
Yes.
know?
I think Giannis called me and he told me like one time because he won that first tournament or even two times or three times. I think he won like multiple times. And he said like there's 100 people in my class. I was like, what? He said
Yeah.
like they have multiple like four brackets. He said
Yeah.
like it's crazy. I was like,
Yep.
so
Yep.
I think it is possible. It is definitely possible, and I think we're definitely gonna go there. And we can even make it like in pay-per-view event. And if it's possible, Engen's gonna do it. I guarantee you, Engen's gonna do it.
Well, I mean, WAL, I believe, and again, I was just getting involved around the time WAL was finishing up their tournament series. I believe they did I forget how they did the finals, but they ran the tournament off air except for some key matches and stuff, and then they ran like what either the finals or the top four,
Yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
as
That's
the event.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's the way to do it. Like, and it's almost that would almost be a thing where I would see it better suited to not be shown live, but to have a heavily edited, like pull the matches out, do some character development, make it like almost like if you've ever seen Hard Knocks, they do it on a different football team every year for preseason, and every week you get a documentary of the previous week session. So they document
Mm.
like a 1 hour documentary. Like some type of like editing like that would be amazing. You could take a tournament and you could make it look really cool with that type of editing.
I think it's like there's a lot of possibilities how to do it, but like literally you could do run a tournament and then you do like the finals, final matches in the evening, and we can do it in like even a pay-per-view event, right? Um, but now we will have what is it, East finals before next East versus West. So that will be
Mm-hmm.
interesting because I think a lot of really strong pullers from all over Europe will show up. So that should be
Yeah,
fun. And
the way I understand it, I think the Eastern European side had heavier participation than it did in the first Euro, which is interesting because I think in the United States we were lighter when it came to the finals, which surprises me. But who
well,
knows?
last year's finals wasn't that much attend. Like the classes were not that deep. I think a lot of people misunderstood. They thought if I qualified, they're waiting for invitation, and
Yeah,
now we just it's not an invitation. You just come, compete, and you will get your chance, right? That's
right.
how it is. Yeah. But yeah, good times, good times. Listen, there was a we lost Dennis versus Hermes, which was, in my opinion, a great match.
Yep, sure.
But we gained Vitali versus Kamil.
Yeah, I love it.
So do you think like a lot of people are looking at this? Oh, Vitali, no chance. Like we know how dominant, he's so
Yeah,
strong.
no, I mean, look, hopefully everybody looked at Angan and Devin talking about the left-hand super heavyweights because that discussion that they had, I think it spanned about 20 minutes. They talked about it, and it pretty much sums up the entire scenario. If you're trying to use arm wrestling math on that top four, top five, that math is trigonometry, and you better be real good at it because Camille, although I don't think he is the number one guy per se, may be the worst matchup for Vitali and or maybe even Kardashian, who are probably considered two of the top three
Mhm.
or four. So I think, I think you're in a scenario there where the fundamental styles of arm wrestling are going to decide who the number one guy is. But then Camille, maybe he's the number 5 or 6 guy, can beat the number one guy.
That's how arm wrestling works. There's
Yep.
styles, and styles make matches, and his
Yep.
style, especially versus Vitali, right? Because like now I saw Vitali's training like going like sideways, top roll through side, not back, not just
Yeah.
back. I still haven't seen him do it in real life, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that might be a big problem. And Camille is like, he wanted this match. I don't know, man. I think maybe November or December, he sent me a message. He's like, hey,
Yeah,
please ask Don about this match, please. And I said
yeah.
Don, but way, way back. Yeah. He's gunning for these
Camille's smart,
guys.
man. Camille's a smart guy. I think like at times he gives this like intentional persona of being goofy or he's always happy and everything. But I think he's a very smart and calculated guy. I think even with the way he trains and stuff and releases his training videos and does different things, he's very strategic. And he's done some amazing things, some ridiculous things over this past year. And he's gotten himself to a point where he deserves every match he gets. And I think he's 100% deserving of the match. I get it. It's a substitute match and everything. But I believe that this may actually be better to visually watch than the Hermes and Dennis match would have been.
Mm, mm. Yeah, it could be a great match if indeed the match stops. Because I see both guys will try to win as fast as they can, right? And it could be
Sure.
like this. Yeah.
I think we could see a lot of like. I think it could be a long match based on setups, like how much they get into it in setups. If guys are utilizing false starts and trying to time the go, to me, even though none of those matches, wins or losses, might be long matches, if we see something like 3-1, 3-2, and somehow it takes 25 minutes because of everything that's going on, you see guys hitting goes, missing goes. I like that too. I think that's art as well. When you're just battling so hard, when you got totally contrasting moves, and just battle. We see Camille do that all the time. We see him do it with Tobias. I thought the Tobias match was great.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a good match for him. I think it was a good match for Tobias, right? It was close match. It was back and forth. This time 4 rounds, where you have to win 4 rounds,
Yeah.
can make a big difference, right? I I think it's an awesome match, and but listen, if I have to pick one match that will most likely go for an hour, it should be Monster Michael Todd versus Lars Rohrbacher. I think that.
Yeah, no kidding. I like that. Mike's my guy. And I like Lars too. He's a nice guy. I talked to him since I started arm wrestling, and I think that stylistically the match that could be most interesting. I think we could see, we know Lars is a flop wrist guy, but he'll also top roll. We've seen him top roll do different things. We could see Kings versus flop. We could see shoulder roll versus shoulder roll and have it meet in the middle. We could see him top rolling against Mike's press. Who knows? I'm very interested to see where this goes, especially round one. But I think everybody's gonna get their money's worth for sure.
I think so too. It's like Mike is so hard to beat. It's like you can take everything. Like Frank Lamperelli took every single thing that you want in arm wrestling. He took the pronate, he
Yeah,
got the
he arm
back,
wrestled.
got the
He arm wrestled perfectly, perfectly.
yes, yes, and still Michael beat him, right? In a great epic match. Where he like I don't know how his shoulders survived. You saw those positions on the like camera that's on the top, and he's just like I was like, how is this even possible? I see a lot of similarities there, and I think Lars can climb, and Michael can if this isn't like match of the
Yeah.
night, I don't like the whole card is I really looking a lot of these matches. I think you and Lachlan is absolutely amazing match, and there's all wars, wars,
So
wars.
so I think one of the interesting intangible variables for the Michael and Lars match is the fact that the winner, I believe, now goes to Dottie Khan next. Or the agreement was made that if Mike wins, next opponent is Dottie Khan for a title shot.
Well,
So I know. I mean,
yeah,
Michael
go.
had like a long, like a couple more steps in his planned comeback, right? And, you know, when he's an analytical guy, he likes to control the outcomes and everything and have things to work for. But I think having this opportunity thrust in the middle is a good thing because Mike's going to put a lot of pressure on himself anyway, right? So he's putting the same amount of pressure on every match essentially because he sees everyone as do or die. But now you have this match and you have a positive reward at the end of it, not just win the match because you can't afford to lose. Win the match and earn this match, you know, which I think mentally that could be a powerful thing for Mike. So much about Mike is where his mind state's at in preparation, and then where is his mind state at on the day of competition. And I think that that's going to pan out to be a really big positive.
Yeah, it's well, like I like Mike is awesome when he gets on table. I really it's never a dull moment. The only one that I like beat him like very very easily was Devin, right? That's how much I remember. And Devin was just too much everywhere. But I hope this Mike, like I think he went home, he looked at what he did and how he performed. He wasn't happy at all, and I think he worked really hard on building some fundamental strength, and we might see them. I think Lars is very dangerous. I think we're looking at Mike, but we're looking at Mike because Mike is so hard to beat, right? Lars is really, really strong. I have no doubt about it, and really, really good. And yeah, it's the whole card. Like I think this is the best KOTT card I have ever seen. It's just yeah.
Yeah, I'm really in Mike's corner. I'm really invested in his comeback. You know what I mean? And I thought it was really cool to see Devin even make the suggestion of that match. You know, the Dottie Khan thing, because of how I thought that was a stand-up thing to do. That Devin would suggest the Dottie Khan match based on him having to back out when he originally took the title from Prudnik because Michael had to back out due to an injury. It's just funny how things kind of go full circle, and you feel like,
yes,
in my mind, maybe I'm painting the karma or whatever, but I'm like, I'm talking to Mike, and I'm like, man, things happen for a reason, right? This is good juju, you know what I mean? Like, let's ride this out. So we'll see what happens. I think Michael is such an important person for arm wrestling as a whole, but especially Western arm wrestling. And I just want to see him back into whatever format, whatever weight class that he's targeting.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you. I think, yeah. And for Devon to give that just because like we know how it turned out, right? Yeah. Like listen, what I saw that Decan said or someone said that like, oh, that Devon is scared of me. This is why he didn't want to compete. I don't believe there's a man who can beat Devon under 115, 105 kilos. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean that's good hype. I think Dottie Cat saying that is, and probably it's a little forced even for him to say that because he doesn't seem like that. I don't know, but in any case, when you look at Devin needing some time off, man, are you kidding me? This guy has given his soul to arm wrestling. He has sold his soul for the growth of the sport. He has sacrificed time, health, time away from his family, you know, all kinds of stuff. His family as a whole has made monumental sacrifices so he can become the face of arm wrestling and continue to promote it forward. Nobody arm wrestles more than him. Nobody promotes more than him. Nobody commits more than him. And nobody's willing to go as far. So if anybody deserves a little vacation, it's Devin. Like, we got to cut him some slack,
man. I can't agree with you. I think that the man has done everything for the sport. We wouldn't be like, I really believe it doesn't matter. There's could be a lot of players in the world of arm wrestling, but if you take out Devin Lart, it's arm wrestling wouldn't be here without him. He has so many things like the match versus Levin, right? Like we kind of all wanted to see this fairy tale ending. It ended how it ended, and I think it ended pretty well. Devon had a moment in that round number one, and he used that moment, and it was a great, and the energy was great. But like what he did last year was absolutely insane. This was like if anyone says like, oh, Devon didn't, oh, Devon deserved it. Now we have a problem figuring out who's the next guy who deserves it. That's the problem, right? Before then, every like if you're an expert at arm wrestling, you're paying attention, you know who was the next guy in line. You knew, right? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, there's gonna be some stuff that has to pan out. But the good news is it allows for a lot of matches to figure out who that next guy is.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, man, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I'm really afraid you're driving and talking with me. It should be like this.
I'm on the turnpike, bro. Don't worry about it.
When are you arriving? When you arriving in Dubai? Do you know?
I'm leaving. I don't even. I guess I'm leaving late Monday night, so I'm assuming
Okay,
I'll
so
land over there Tuesday evening.
okay, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. Okay, okay. Can't wait, man. I think it's awesome match. I know you're in shape. I know Lachlan's in shape. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yep. Can't wait. I'll see you soon, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Stay strong. Love arm wrestling. Love Paul Linn.